The Blokebusters podcast is proud to be a member of the Pod Bros Network. You can find us, as well as other fine shows such as The Guy Huddle, Language of Bromance, and Dave's Nerd Compendium at podbros.com, and on Twitter at @PodBrosNetwork. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of the Blokebusters podcast.
Welcome to yet another episode of Film for Thought, our experiment in randomness. I'm Brian.
I'm Paul.
And today we're going to kind of be tackling the small screen. Not so much film per se, but kind of, I mean, why not? We can do whatever the hell we want on this little adventure here. So we're not going to try to justify it too much, but it is a good thing to do now that we are in the dead zone of films that got rushed out to or didn't quite make the holiday release and aren't good enough for spring blockbuster release. So there aren't a lot of great films coming out up until Captain America.
Well, I think there is one film coming out next month that we're definitely going to do, and apart from that, I can't name it.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of ripe fruit on that tree. So, without further ado, I think we're just going to kind of talk about some of our favorite TV shows. Due to slight miscommunication on my part, or clarification.
Bit of a clarification
on my part. Our list used two different parameters. Paul's is all time.
Yeah, mine, I decided I would come up with a list of the 5 shows that are basically my favorite of all time at this point. Okay. But what happened was I ended up writing down 10 shows, and so I then reclarified as the 5 shows out of that.
Oh, I got another one.
I would not be able to spend the rest of my life never watching again.
Okay.
And I know that kind of sounds like, okay, well, yeah, it's fine, but think about that, like, never watching again. There are some things that you like, I love, but I'm fine not seeing again. Where there are some things that like you want to rewatch. So
I think I think I got another one of yours. I don't know. Maybe I'll wait to show.
All right,
but if we're going all time, my list is current running television programs.
Right.
Things that are still on the air right now of all forms, and this is not limited to cable network. This is any streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime.
Although I would guess that
HBO, Showtime.
With those streaming ones, it would be more very recent TV shows, not necessarily currently running.
Well, I mean, a lot of them do an episode dump, and then there's a year off, and then an episode dump. You know, like Orange is the New Black. Not saying that's on my list, but
House of Cards, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they are currently running. You know, they're just in a 10.5 month hiatus while they're actually making the show.
Yes. Okay, fair enough.
So I don't know. Who shall go first?
I think you should, since you are doing the currently running.
Currently
stuff.
running.
You go first.
Okay. Shall I go with the one that I'm fairly certain you have seen or watched?
Okay,
Maybe.
sure.
I will go with an HBO program called Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
It is the Daily Show how I wish the Daily Show could always be. HBO allows him to not give a shit, and I love them for supporting him and being able to do whatever the fuck he wants. Take on televangelists, take on
Take on televangelist. Fantastic.
By creating his own church and sending in your seed money.
Yeah. And also...
people kept sending in seed money.
And thank you, HBO, for putting his main stuff on YouTube. I don't have HBO, so I don't have any other way of watching it. And they put 10 to 20 minutes of his show on YouTube every week. That's his main story.
He needs to come back from break because I'm missing out right now.
Yeah, but. So I got to see the televangelist stuff, the prison stuff, the beauty pageant one, which was really
beauty
good.
Pageant. Yes, fuck pageants. Oh my god.
Every single thing that he's able to bring up is just putting the viewfinder on American.
But it is actually, guess what? It is the most effective journalism we currently have right now, this comedy show. Because while everyone else is just wrapped up in the 24-hour news cycle of some... Sorry, this is horrible to sound, or sounding horrible, but like some privileged white girl goes missing. Let's watch every hour of this story develop. Yeah. You know, he's actually trying to affect social change. Yeah. Trying to inform people in a hilarious fashion. Yeah. In a self-deprecating, oftentimes, enlightened fashion. It's just so well written.
Yeah, and the weirdest part about it is he's either a dual citizen or he's been a legal residential alien for so long. He refers to Americans as us when he said it, so he's including himself in it with his thick British accent. It's kind of funny to hear sometimes.
I forget what... There was a crowd reaction to something about England he was saying, and his response was, I think you think I'm more highly regarded in England than I actually am. Yes. Something along those lines.
Yeah, most people in England probably didn't know who he was before Last Week Tonight started.
Yeah, but I mean, I just applaud them every episode. Like I said, they really do try to accomplish positive things with the show, which I love. They bring on people, they help there. They actually he goes to all bounds. He will have T-shirts made up of a cause. Like, he will fly people to this country and have them wear those shirts there. I mean, he goes all out, and this show does.
He had at one point, there was, I think it was a fast food chain that had some issues, and so he paid for them to have lunch with their own food. Like, he flew... I can't remember what it was.
He basically just things you can accomplish with this show that you can't on any network or television show or news outlet. I'm going long on this one, but if you're not on board, get on board. You're going to actually get some information, and you're going to have a great time doing it too. So,
some of the best way to get news across. So.
Exactly, and to you, sir.
All right, well. I do not have these ranked at all, so I am just reading them off in the order in which they ended up on my list. So first and foremost, I believe is probably one that you wrote down, Doctor Who.
Who?
The Doctor. Yes. Now,
he said that for us Americans and some Americans out there.
Yes.
Have to use the full title there.
The Doctor is someone who, throughout this show, can be played by multiple different characters, multiple different actors, and is played brilliantly by, in my opinion, everyone since the show came back. Now, I'm not a big fan of old Doctor Who. I am a champion of new Doctor Who. Christopher Eccleston, in my mind, did the best he could and did a fantastic job with the one season he had. And then David Tennant turned up and just killed it. And everything, there's so much in it. And let's see, there's a couple in the show who are a lizard woman who's been alive since the dawn of dinosaurs, and a maid called Jenny. So that's a couple that exists. There's John Barrowman, who is a gay actor playing I would say bisexual, but that's not enough coverage. Like pansexual, let's say. I'm not sure whatever it is. Like he will basically have sex with any living being that exists.
Oh, it does have to be living. Okay,
and does sort of throughout the show. Like there's all of these characters, and nobody cares. Like there's no prejudice whatsoever. I mean, with the exception of stuff there for story's sake. So like the Daleks are evil. The Cybermen are evil, so there's those in there, but like there's no real prejudice for any viewpoint whatsoever. Like there's one point where the Doctor ends up in the Wild West for one episode, and someone says like, my horse is called like Rocket, and he said, no, his name is Susan, and he wants you to respect his life choices. It's just all of these things that are just lines that are thrown out, and that's it. Like there's no comment ever made on it, and it's such a well-made show where you just get soaked into the lives of these characters. And as I've said, I don't feel like I could go the rest of my life without watching Doctor Who again. Like it's just I couldn't do it.
And I have grown suspiciously quiet because
I'm assuming you haven't really watched
because I am just Doctor Who illiterate.
No, fair enough.
And it's
I wasn't expecting
the metaphor I would use. It's such a daunting kind of task for me now. It would be like climbing Everest with first having to teach yourself how to walk. Yeah, it's like I don't even know how to walk yet, and then you have to. So
especially since it's leaving Netflix on February 1st, so even if you were to start now, you wouldn't.
I mean, I had tried a season maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I don't know. His companion was a young blonde
Billy
woman.
Piper. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's who it was.
A lot of people think Rose is the best companion until. I'm
actually surprised I got that term right. I pulled that out right. I was going to say friend, but I'm like, no, I know this one.
Until Amy Pond turned up, in which case everyone now.
And then I watched maybe 4 or 5 episodes that season, and I guess I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
Like I didn't realize the campiness was such an inherent nature of the show.
Yeah, there's definitely some in there.
But I don't know. Like I said, it's just such a daunting task now that I think I just have to let this one go through my pop culture gap. Yeah. And it's just going to be something that when I talk with fellow nerds, I will get slapped for and
in that
shamed.
In that case, let me offer you this little cheat sheet. Number 1, everyone thinks that Martha was the worst companion of the new Doctors.
You just got to write these down on a flashcard for me. Martha, worst companion.
And number 2,
talking points.
And this is the most important thing. His name is the Doctor. Do not call him Doctor Who. Otherwise,
not only even if referring to the show itself.
If you are referring specifically to the television show, it's the television show is called Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. The character is the Doctor. Mm-hmm. That is very important.
What an ego! I don't even need to identify myself. I am the Doctor.
If you watch the show, there are reasons why he does not call himself anything but the Doctor. So, yeah.
All right.
That is my first one.
Okay. I'm not really ranking... Maybe like the last 2 or so I'll rank as my favorites. But we're going to go with another sort of non-fiction little television show on Comedy Central called At Midnight.
I know of it. I've seen 1 or 2 episodes.
It is the most irreverent... kind of fun.
Hardwick, is it?
Yes, Chris Hardwick hosting with 3 comedian game show contestants.
Yep.
And all about the internet. You've seen it, I'm sure, out there. But it is just, like I said, completely irreverent, ridiculous. It's a supporting environment, so they don't attack each other or roast each other. Right. I mean, they all play off each other. They're all professional comedians, so they yes and each other constantly. Yeah. It's just very funny time, and you kind of get it is a good way for someone that doesn't really compile all of my Reddit subreddit stuff, and like I just don't have the time to read all that stuff. It is a good way to get your like today's scoop on the internet kind of news. The cat videos that you didn't get to.
Yeah. And the one episode that I saw, there's a company called Rooster Teeth that do a whole bunch of internet stuff. I'm sure at least one listener of ours will have heard of them before. 3 people from that went on the show, one episode, and yeah, it was just fun to see them on that, and it's always fun to just see 3 comedians doing a quiz show. Like it
is, yeah, because it's not really about the who wins, even though they do kind of care. Some of them want to win because the last the down to final 2, it's done arbitrarily. So seriously, so you do know like it is. Whoever the audience thinks is the funniest wins. Yeah. But like this week, I still need to watch them all. Doug Benson was on all week, who's like one of my favorite comedians, calling it the Benson Bowl. Okay. Yeah. There because he likes to choke on a few things. Of course, Mary Jo, no wanna. It's just funny. Yeah, I mean, it's a good time, good something to throw on and play on your phone, whatever you want to do. So yeah, that made my list because it's fucking hilarious. I like it. I need a better reason. You.
Yes. All right. The next one that I have, that again this is all time for me, is the one that I am 100% certain you have never watched.
Oh,
Dad's Army.
Who do you think you are kidding, Mr. Hitler, if you think we're on the run? We are the boys.
Television show. Yeah. It is a British television show from, and I hope I'm getting this right, the 60s. The first 2 seasons were in black and white. That is the film that is coming out this year. So that is not it.
Okay, I will try again. There we go, TV series.
There you go. Yes, I have a bit of a gripe about the film that's going to come now. But anyway, so the first 2 seasons were in black and white.
So this is it somewhat similar to Hogan's Heroes or anything along those lines? If you know that.
I cannot guess, unfortunately.
Okay.
The basic premise is during World War II, every able-bodied man went off and joined the army. And people that were in positions where they were considered important to the community, they didn't go. So your bank managers stayed, a butcher stayed, because where are you going to get a replacement butcher? Stuff like that.
So many places.
But all of these people still wanted to be...
Look at this guy.
They still wanted to be in the fight somehow. So what happened was the government put up a thing called the Home Guard, where you could meet up once a week, you went on parade, you went on exercises, you were trained in how to fight. The idea being that should the Hun ever come to your door, you are able to fight them off. You're the last line of defense. And so these people come together, the bank manager makes himself the captain, because his idea, he's the captain. And his clerk at the bank is his second in command, and then there's the butcher that comes in who becomes a lance corporal. There's a undertaker. There's the guy who is the second in command. He's basically having sex with this boy's mother, and this boy is in the thing, and it's heavily hinted at that he actually is the guy's father, but never stated. And there's the old guy who's always falling asleep. There's a guy who, if you wanted anything at all, he could find it for you. Just slip him some money, he'll get it for you.
He's the red?
Kinda, yeah.
I've been known to locate things from time to time.
From time to time, yes.
I can find some way in, okay.
That's fine. And then there's other characters as well, and all that. And so, I just listed a whole bunch of characters, and you'd think, for a half-hour television show, how are you going to get all of this? And such fantastic writing, so well done. Everyone works off each other brilliantly. Great acting, and every few months, I think to myself, I need to rewatch that. This is something that I just want to go through again.
I'm going to go ahead and declare this the British Hogan's Heroes.
Okay.
It sounds... I'm doing some research while you're telling the good people about it. But I'm sure you probably know this. I'm reading some of the trivia here. An episode is kept on standby by the BBC for use as an emergency backup program to be broadcast if a major technical problem prevents normal programs being shown.
That does not surprise me.
It came to light on June 20th, 2000, when the 6 o'clock news was interrupted by a power failure at the BBC, and an episode of Dad's Army was transmitted in its place.
Yep. Sounds about right.
All right.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I can tell you which.
And who is this guy? Well. Bill Pertwood. I'm showing picture of
Pertwee.
Bill Pertwee. Okay.
He was.
That is an amazing hat.
He was. Well, that was the hat that they used to wear back then when you were the air raid warden.
Okay.
So anytime at
so
night,
a sniper can easily pick you out.
Yeah, but I was saying at night.
It's a giant white hat, folks, with a W on it.
Yes. At night there was a blackout enforced, and these people went round, and any time there was a light, you went and you got those people to turn their light out. And so his catchphrase was just running around going, "Put that light out!" The old butcher, who was actually played by the youngest person in the cast, his catchphrase was, "They don't like it up 'em. They don't like it up 'em," because he used to be in the Boer War where he would stuff bayonets at people.
Well, I hope one other person knows what the hell you're talking about.
I know. It was a brilliant show, and my gripe with the fact they've made a film about it.
Yeah, with Catherine Zeta.
80% of what I saw in the trailer, I'm fine with. They seem to have got the general idea of it.
Oh, Toby Jones. Toby Jones.
My Bill Nighy's in it.
Yep.
It's Michael Gambon as well.
Yeah.
But,
Dumbledore #2.
Yep. But there's a running thing in the show where Captain Mannering is married to a rather overweight woman that you never see. Like the most you see of her is one night you see him.
The off-screen bit.
Yeah, they sleep in bunk beds and he's in the bottom bunk, and he comes back and you just see the sagging weight from above.
Oh.
In the trailer,
Minecraft is in here.
Yes. Yeah, and in the trailer you see Mrs. Mannering. Like, no. Sorry, you've done that wrong.
Oh, I think, yes. I recall. I think you've gone over this before.
Yeah, so it's just something like I will.
You'll still watch it.
I will see the film, but it's not going to hold a candle, unfortunately.
All right.
So,
okay, let's get this into higher gear here.
Yes, we really do need to.
All right, I am going to go with a brilliant show that aired on USA this last year. USA, not always known for amazing original programming.
Yeah.
Burn Notice. Sorry, Burn Notice fans. But this is called Mr. Robot.
I've heard of it.
It is I should say, best new show of the past. I mean, because I have a couple of shows on here that, well, the last one's been on for years.
Right.
But as far as shows that to come out in the last year or two, I would say this is probably by far my favorite.
Okay.
The writing is some of the best writing I've ever seen. It is a perfect melodrama. Christian Slater, do I need to say more? Like, you got poor man Jack Nicholson in there.
Right.
And blanking on Rami Malek, as Elliot. He's such an interesting and complex character. The women in it are really well written, which I love.
What's the basic premise?
Basic premise is that he is a hacker, and he works for this cybersecurity.
Okay, so his job is to hack into places.
To prevent hacking of high profile clients or businesses,
and to show problems with security.
But that is just the surface story. And their main client is this E Corp, who he always refers to as Evil Corp. So for the rest of this show, it's his POV. When people say E Corp, they say Evil Corp, because that's what he hears. That's what he sees on the billboards. He has some serious dementia.
Interesting.
Without giving too much away. He has some big issues, but he also, part of the show is he's kind of like a cyber Dexter. Where he uses his skills to kind of take down bad people or assholes or just,
people that deserve.
But it does develop because it's kind of playing off of the group Anonymous,
Right.
who you're, familiar with.
Yeah.
Of course, everyone should be familiar with that has a computer. Because they're familiar with you, probably.
Yeah.
But just, they are trying to pretty much reset democracy, or, to kind of take down the financial institutions.
Okay.
But the first episode was incredible. There was a lot you could see coming. I'm sure that you would see coming,
right,
as far as big reveals.
Yeah.
So a couple people were surprised in the last couple episodes, but it's one of those 10 episodes a season. I'm really pumped for season 2.
Okay.
See where they're going to take this, because it kind of had not to give too much away, it could have ended at one season,
right,
or one series, but the characters are also rich. Like I said, the writing is just on point. The music and the style of the show is just so beautiful.
Right.
There's just like a lot of operatic scenes and operatic music, and I can't speak highly of it enough. If you're not watching Mr. Robot, watch Mr. Robot.
Well, hopefully it comes to Netflix or something soon.
Yes, sir. And over to you.
All right. Well, my third one is not going to require much discussion from us.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you that have followed us for a while, you'll know why. Firefly.
Take my love, take my land, take me where I cannot stand. I don't care, I'm still free. You can't take the sky from me.
I should have known that one.
Just Firefly. For those of you,
Speaking of one season,
we are huge browncoats, and I would like to think that the majority of people listening to us are also. Like, I'm not going to go into it right now. Like,
you can't take that show from me.
Yeah,
to change your phrase.
Fantastic cast, brilliant writing, and they just work so well together. I mean, there's not much else I can say. It was not, and luckily got a film made.
Yeah, we were happy that we had Serenity. Yeah.
Well, yes and no.
I mean, no for some obvious reasons, but it was certainly something that I think was,
we needed. It was needed.
Because it couldn't have just ended where it had, but.
All right.
Alas, the things that are not.
Yes.
Okay, I am going to go with a Showtime show here called The Affair.
I was screaming into the canyon at the moment of my death. The echo I created, I lasted my last breath.
The Affair.
Now,
I don't believe I know about this one.
This show, Paul, is so good. I had to take a break from it. I have yet to return because it's kind of mirroring. I mean, my life was mirroring the show in a sense that it was destroying my life. It was all I could talk about. I was so annoying because the affair this, the affair that, the affair. I mean, you might say I was annoying for a different reason. Some of you,
right,
but no agreement necessary. That was rhetorical.
I just
okay. Yeah, it was all I could focus on, all I could watch, and I have like one episode left in the first season. Season 2, I think, is almost wrapping up, or maybe has. But it is, I mean, as the title suggests, it involves this married man and his family. He's a writer living in New York City, I believe. Sorry if I get any of the details slightly off, but his wife's family is loaded. His father-in-law is a very famous writer. Think kind of like Grisham or Patterson or something like, turning out one or two books a year, and always bestsellers, So tons of money. So they go to what's the lake? Whatever.
They go to a lake.
Yeah, for a summer vacation, summer-long vacation.
Right.
Not a week or 2 weeks like poor people like us have to
for
do.
the summer.
Yes, a 3-month vacation. And, of course, he meets a young woman there, and attraction is immediate. And but the brilliance of this show is that, I mean, for at least I think the first 4 or 5 episodes, they continue to do it throughout the show, but it doesn't follow as closely.
Right.
The first half of the episode, they're about hour-long episodes. It will say Noah, and it's Noah's perspective, his view of how things went.
Okay.
And then the second half, or they'll switch order, whatever. Either way, the second half will be the other one's point of view.
Right.
So how they met is different. What she was wearing is different. How her hair was up. Maybe, like for instance, he sees her in the library. She's wearing a short skirt or a short dress, and she has a couple buttons done on the blouse, so she has cleavage.
Right.
Her version, jeans, buttoned up, not makeup, no like hardly any makeup on.
Right.
So it's just very interesting, like how we remember things.
And it could for all we know, it could be in between the two. Like,
yes. That is kind of the point. I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle between, each one has a bias on how things went.
Yeah.
But it surrounds, I'm not giving too much away, a murder investigation in the present day.
Okay.
So they are telling their story in an interrogation room, kind of a la True Detective,
right?
About this thing, and then what happened. She's married as well,
right?
So they're talking from present day about to these cops about this murder investigation, this murder that happened in this time frame from when they got together, and it is, like I said, so captivating that you have to take a break from it. It is the juiciest damn show I've ever seen.
All right.
It is. I mean, it's great. It's what's his name? Dominic West from The Wire. Actually, I believe an English actor, but always does American accents.
Yeah.
And does them quite well, I must say. Much better than I think we can do the other one.
Yeah.
Paul will happily agree to that.
Yes.
And I will save my impression this week.
Yes, please do.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so that is the affair. Over to you.
All right. Well, my next one is the oldest on my list, if you don't count the original series of Doctor Who, which I wasn't referring to.
Yeah.
The Twilight Zone. The original series.
Oh, look at you dusting off that old...
I know. Well, this show was my first introduction to just this style of writing and how a show can be so different every week, but still slightly the same, and just having those little twists in there that change everything. And why did Rod Serling have to go away? What is it? Along the same lines of how could Fox have cancelled Firefly? It's how could that have happened to Rod Serling? Why were we deprived of this guy? He was so innovative at that time where nothing like this existed, and there are times where I will just sit down and rewatch an episode or two.
I mean, they're brilliant morality plays, every single one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And when you have some episodes that are specifically talking about some things without directly talking about them, but it's clear what it was. And then there are some, like the last episode in the first series, there's a guy who's a writer, and everything that he can describe well enough comes into existence. And his wife is certain he's having an affair, but he's like, no, I'm just creating this person.
Didn't Crichton do that with Sphere or something? Like everything, or I think everything they thought of came.
Yeah, everything they thought came in. He properly describes exactly this person, and she pops up, and then he takes a little snippet, throws it in the fire, and they go away. And then he said to his wife, like, I did this to you, and then so that comes out, and then so that's how that all goes, and then he does some more stuff, and then Rod Serling finally turns up on screen as the narrator, saying, "Of course, this is all fiction, and all this." And then as he's giving the closing narration, the character turns to him and says, "You really shouldn't say that, And then he gets out this envelope with Rod Serling on and throws it in the fire, and he just goes, well, that's the way it goes. And he fades off. So many
truly
little,
nothing else like it.
Little breaking the fourth wall type things at times, and it's just for me, just some of the best storytelling I've ever seen.
My favorite episode is probably obvious. It's the one that's been, I think, probably parodied the most.
It's a cookbook. No,
no, with in the library. I finally have time to read.
I had time now. It's not fair.
Yeah, and breaks the glasses.
And
yes,
Yeah,
I mean, they've parodied it on pretty much everything.
Yeah, and I've always said Futurama is my favorite parody of that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like books all the time in the world to read them. The glasses smash. It's not fair. It's not. Wait. My eyes aren't that bad. I can still read the Lotman books, and the eyes fall out. It's not... Well, luckily I can read Braille. Hands fall off. Ah! Like, just... Yes. Well done.
Yeah, and I'm sure people of the Twilight, or fans of the Twilight Zone know of Black Mirror, but I would strongly recommend that show as kind of a modernization of those type of stories.
Kinda, yeah.
It has that vibe to it.
It does. It has that dark tone to it.
And new episodes out on Netflix now.
Yeah,
yes.
I believe
I
the
have
Christmas
not gotten to
episode
them.
came out.
Yeah, but I think those are also very well done. But keeping with kind of what Twilight Zone and what Black Mirror always kind of evoke the question is, where would you fit in this, or what would you do in this? I mean, it always makes you think. You have to say that for it.
Yeah.
Whether you're going to argue with how it looks or the plot itself, it does always make you wonder.
Yeah. And as I said, one episode that I'll say, there's this old woman living in a shack, and there are these two tiny men that turn up and appear to be trying to harm her in some way, trying to like take stuff, and she's like fighting them up at all time. Like she's terrified of these people, and at the end of the episode, she gets them out of the house and they take off. And at the very end, you find out that the people that have been terrorizing this poor woman are from Earth, and they've come to this other planet. And so it's like everything you've thought throughout the entire episode is wrong. So it's like and that happens all the time. It's really well done.
All right.
Sis.
Yes.
Your
I think my
one.
last one is going to be fairly obvious because I haven't mentioned it yet to you.
All right,
It's one that I don't believe you watch. I'm pretty
probably
sure,
do not.
but everyone else does.
Yeah.
It's a little show on HBO called Game of Thrones. Now, I know it sounds silly, the title, but it is quite good.
Based on what I've heard of it and what my wife says, it's a very accurate name.
I really don't need to go into it because everyone knows what it is.
Yeah, I know what it is, and I don't watch it.
I mean, everyone knows the identity of the show, I should say.
Yeah.
You can't get attached to any one character just because George R. Martin's going to fuck you over.
Yeah, just don't.
And we just keep on watching because we are gluttons for punishment. Mm-hmm. We're running out of heroes to root for. My Game of Throners.
Well, to be fair, if it was like genuinely happening, all of your heroes would be killed by the villains, and then
it's
just
a little too realistic that way.
But
yeah,
all of the people that play by the rules will be killed by people that break the rules. That's how it's going to work.
April 24th is all I have to say to you people. April 24th, we will have season 6. So that is why I'm watching Making a Murderer now and trying to fill my life with these one-off shows.
Killing time.
Yes, biding my time until that day because it is going to be a glorious day for the next 10 weeks. Then they're going to be magical. If you're thinking about if you're like my Doctor Who argument earlier, this is not an insurmountable mountain. There have only been 6 seasons. It is a lot or 5, I should say. It is a lot to undertake if you're thinking of getting into it. But once you start watching, you will be hooked. Everyone else out there already watches, and So I'll stop.
All right. So my last one. I know I have mentioned it to you before, but I don't think you'll have written it down. I kind of want to see...
Wait, I'll just go ahead and show my hand with the wrong answer, probably. But are there any references to water parks?
No.
No, well, you know what I meant then.
I'm actually not sure.
Well, maybe I missed... Or that's not the line. But.
You mean... by water parks, you mean like camps or like what?
Just continue.
Okay. It is the newsroom.
The newsroom. Okay.
Yeah. The Jeff Daniels.
Yes.
Show, and I started watching this because I saw on YouTube, I think it was, the opening 10 or so minutes. And all it is the main character is taking part in this debate. And he's a newscaster. And he's taking part in a debate at a university with 2 other people who are politically inclined. And someone asks him, why is America the best country on the planet? And his response starts with, it isn't.
Okay.
And he then goes on.
Now I know.
And on, listing like all of this stuff. Like, his character is a Republican, but the more you listen, you would feel like in this day and age he would fall into the Democrat side because he's seen as more liberal than your average Republican.
No.
But he's just more willing to let the facts be the facts and go based on that rather than based purely on what the party says. So he's this wonderful character, and the more I watched, this was one of those few shows that I watched and I was like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I can get another 2 in before I get to bed. Like, it was just, I was hooked.
So it's so this is HBO, right? How were you able to watch this?
Because I had someone that was willing to give me the DVDs that I had, so I was able to power through this, and then I had access to Amazon Prime.
Okay.
So I was able to finish it.
Oh, it's on there?
The first 2 seasons are free on Prime.
Okay.
The last season is not. So I borrowed the first DVD set. I watched the second season on Prime, and then I borrowed the third DVD set to finish it.
Does he... Jeff Daniels being do you think he plays it all like he plays Teddy from The Martian? Are there notes of that, or is it completely different? That's kind of how I was just imagining that in my head.
I would say...
Is he as matter of fact and dickish?
Kind of. I mean, imagine that, but more charismatic.
Okay.
Like, way more charismatic, and a really good reporter. Like, he's really good at that. And, so this show, I finished watching it totally, like, halfway through last year. I already want to start rewatching it.
All right. Well, I think hopefully that can be a good GOT filler to April.
Yeah, seriously, I would...
What, about 10 to 13 episodes a season, something like that?
I think it is 13, 6, if I'm recalling correctly. So after that, I'm just going to list off the other shows I wrote down. Sherlock, that was one I wrote down. Jessica Jones, because I thoroughly enjoyed that telling, and David Tennant was phenomenal in that. Futurama, just because of how much I like that. Ghost in the Shell, just because that was the anime that got me into anime, and House of Cards as well. House of Cards was another one of those shows that I would stay awake till 2 o'clock in the morning just watching, because
I need to get back into that one too. I had written down, I was surprised not to hear it in the top 10. IT Crowd for you.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to come up with that at least in the top 10.
No, yeah, I mean,
and that was what my water parks.
I got the water parks.
Reference.
A sea park.
Sea park, that's what it was. Yes, I knew I didn't have it 100 correct.
I considered putting that on the list. The only thing is that having seen them and quoted them so much, like, I basically have them stored in here now, so
you can watch them in your head anytime you want.
I would be okay not sitting down to watch it again.
Okay, yeah.
Not that I want that to be
familiar.
The case. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. I know we missed a few. Tweet us with your favorite all-time or favorite current.
Yeah, just at Blockbusters for that. You can...
I know. What is the one that's on Amazon Prime right now that everyone's telling me I need to watch? Is about if Germany and Japan had won.
Oh, Man in the High Castle. Yes. That is good.
You've watched that one?
Yeah, I've watched the first 4 episodes.
Yeah, and what, the country's split in two?
Between
Japan and
the
Germany.
West Coast is Japan, and pretty much the rest of the country is...
I like the concept, and I will see that at some point.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we've taken up enough of your time. For
yes, definitely.
This experiment.
A feature-length talking about TV shows.
About TV, yes. One and only. Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, I've been Paul.
I've been Brian.
There, folks.
All right.